have a awesome bike, however you want to look at it. We have this 2014 Honda Valkyrie in this stunning blue color. You call it blue, blurple, depends on how the light hits it. It will really tell you, give you an idea what color it is. I love this color changing color that Honda has. I don't know the name of the color. I probably should have figured that out, but I love this blue because people call it different things. So depending on where you look at it, it takes on a different color. So this is, like I said, a 2014 Honda Valkyrie, and all it is really, if you look beside it, it's just a stripped down Goldwing. So if you ever wanted to know what your Goldwing would feel like without the fairings or any of the extra accessories, well, here it is. We're going to see what it feels like on this Valkyrie today when we take it for a ride. But before we go for that ride, let's just take a look at it. I mean, really the only similarities between the Goldwing and the Valkyrie are the frame and the engine. Basically, it stops there. Everything else has been tweaked in some way or minimized in another way. Now this one does have aftermarket saddlebags on there. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about those. I have mixed feelings on them myself, but the previous owner of this bike wanted some extra storage capacity, so he opted for some aftermarket bags there. Now this bike here has 17,000 miles on it. So in the world, or in the realm of Goldwing, that's very minimal miles. I think this one over here, for example, has 57,000 miles on it or somewhere in there, and still runs like this one, basically, as far as engine noise and how well it runs. They both run the same. So it's an engine that's going to last forever in this bike. But we'll throw a leg over this thing before we do. Start it up. I don't know how much you'll be able to hear through my helmet, but we'll give it a listen. So not the loudest thing, but it does have a decent tone to it. I think the previous owner either gutted the mufflers or put holes in the mufflers so that it gets a little bit more of a deep tone out of it. But we're going to let this thing warm up for a second here, and then we're going to take it out on a short little ride around the block here. Now it is a colder day today, so I kind of want to ride the Goldwing, but we're doing a ride on the Valkyrie today, and definitely doesn't have as much wind protection, so we'll see how that feels on a nice little ride here. This one has the aftermarket footrest here attached to the engine valve cover there, so those are nice for a long trip there. Put your feet on them. But this should be a fun little bike to ride. Like I said, I'm curious to see how much quicker this feels than a Goldwing in acceleration, and how much lighter it feels out on the road. Now the Goldwing never suffered from feeling light on the road because the engine is really low slung in these, and it really helps to keep the weight down low, so you don't really feel it going around corners or as soon as you accelerate from a stop. It kind of gets lighter as it goes. So the controls, hydraulic clutch, they transferred that over from the Goldwing. Dual disc front brakes. The controls are really basic. You got your horn, high beam, low beam, left, right turn signal. This does have a 4-way switch here on the other side and a starter button, so very minimalistic on this bike compared to a Goldwing, and that's by design. You know what I mean? They wanted it to be a stripped down no nonsense bike. You just get on it and you go for a ride. So she's warmed up enough. We're gonna take this thing out for a ride. And I expect that when we're riding this, it's going to feel nice and smooth, just like a Goldwing would. And I can tell you right away, it definitely pushes you back in your seat, if that's a way to describe it. It definitely feels a lot snappier than what a Goldwing does. But you never lose that smoothness. I mean, that flat six, these engines are just butter smooth. I mean, and quiet, which, I mean, with how loud this bike looks just sitting there, I think you kind of want a little bit more noise out of it, but you kind of get what you get there. It is a Goldwing. There's only so much you can do with that Goldwing platform. But brakes feel more than adequate coming up to a stop. And you put your foot down. I mean, there is weight there. You do notice a little bit of weight, but it's pretty manageable. Now, where my hands sit on the handlebars, I'm in a nice, comfortable, upright position. I'm not leaning too far back and I'm not leaning too far forward. So this is a nice, comfortable riding position. I could see eating up many miles on this bike. The seat feels very comfortable. It's firm yet supportive. It's not too hard that I think my butt would fall asleep, but it's definitely firm without being over aggressive. And because it is just a nice open cockpit, I can see everything, so visibility on this is nice. My mirrors are right here in my line of sight. I don't even really have to break away from looking straight ahead to see what's going on behind me. So that is a nice thing about this. Mirrors are positioned nicely on this bike. I definitely hear more wind noise than I do engine noise on this bike. This thing is whisper quiet. Even with the mufflers cut up a little bit, I still can't hear this thing cruising. Instrument cluster here, gauge cluster, is nice, clear, and concise. I can read everything. Again, I don't have to break my view from the road too much to view it. Honda did come out with the Valkyrie Rune several years before this, and it was a lot more difficult to see the instrument cluster because it was actually kind of into the gas tank. So this doesn't take your eyes off the road as much as the old Valkyrie did. So I do appreciate that. It's easy to see how fast I'm going. I know where my fuel level's at. I know what RPM I'm sitting at. And even the clock on there is pretty visible for me sitting on the seat here.
Remember to hit like and subscribe and ding that notification bell for updated content. Thank you.
Plenty of power. I mean, I'm in sixth gear now, and if I just roll on the throttle, you know, you could merge on any highway without a problem. You don't have to downshift it, or if you need to get around somebody, you don't really have to downshift on this bike. And I think part of that is because, you know, it doesn't have that extra weight of extra bags and speakers and navigation and airbags and whatever else you could get on your Goldwing at this time. So that is nice there as far as acceleration goes. Now, I don't know if this has self-canceling turn signals. I know in my last video when I was riding the Raider, I had my turn signal on for a while, so let's see if this one has self-canceling turn signals, because I know the Goldwing does. And looks like that's a no. So just make sure you turn your turn signal off, or else you'll be signaling for a long time. But going around corners, mean, just like the Goldwing, this thing again wears its weight down low, so it's got a nice turn in. You know, it changes directions effortlessly. You know, just a small little push on the handlebars gets it to change directions without too much of a, you're not really asking it to do much by you know, changing that direction. The ride itself, the suspension itself, feels firm yet forgiving, I guess would be the best way to describe it. I mean, over some rough bumps you definitely feel them. It's not as cushy a ride as the Goldwing, but it's not so aggressive that it's beating me up here. I've hit a couple of good bumps so far on this ride, and it's not jarring my kidneys. So it does have the ability to absorb some of those bumps. And yeah, I mean, it's got decent acceleration, guys. I'm not gonna knock it. I mean, you roll on it, it pushes you back in your seat. I think you'd be very impressed with how nicely this accelerates. Plenty of low end torque, that is for sure. But then again, it's also built to haul around a bike that's, you know, probably 300-400 more pounds. I don't know what the weight is on this, so don't quote me on those weight figures, but it is a lot lighter than a Goldwing. And this bike here, I mean, it's a bike that you're gonna go on probably a day trip. I wouldn't say much more than that. You're probably not gonna go grand touring on this. And really it's just because that lack of a windshield, I think over time will just beat you up too much and you'll just get a little bit tired from a long day's ride. And, you know, yes, the previous customer did put the bags on here, but, you know, this bike does not typically come with bags. So, you know, if you take it for a longer than a day trip, you definitely would have to think about storage. So, you know, that is something you would have to have on your mind. But as far as just something to take out to, you know, maybe a biker breakfast or a good ride where you're just going out with your buddies for just a, like I said, a day trip, I think this would be the perfect bike for something like that. I'm not saying that it wouldn't go for a long ride. I mean, this thing is comfy. I could ride this thing all day today. I feel like it is just a nice, comfortable position. But my ride is coming to an end. And with that said, I mean, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I mean, is it a cool bike? Do you like it? Do you think Honda screwed up with this bike? You know, we'd love to hear from you guys in the comments section about these things. What could we do different on our rides? You know, we're always looking for advice from you guys, because you guys are ultimately the ones that go for a ride. Do you want me to shut up and just ride the bike? Or do you like the commentary as I'm riding the bike? You know, all this stuff we'd like to know in the comments. But thank you guys for checking out these videos. The more we do, the more we figure out as far as audio and where to place the camera and how to place the camera. The better we'll get at that. So, you know, if you have comments on that or any recommendations for better audio or video, you know, let us know below. But that is going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for checking out the video, and we'll see you on the next ride. Safe travels, guys.